So hello and welcome to this little live session on our journey through 2022 of awareness and abundance. You've heard me say this so many times now. Would you believe this is actually day 59? We're almost at day 60 of 2022. Can you absolutely believe that? Day 60 is tomorrow. It's unbelievable. But how is it going for you? And I don't say that in a kind of a flippant kind of way. It's like, oh, how are you? And you say, yeah, I'm fine. And we carry on. Actually stopping, just pausing for a moment and actually thinking, kind of, tomorrow is day 60 of this year. And we get 365 days of fun this year. And this is day 60 tomorrow. So actually stopping and pausing today as we come to the end of February and actually answering the question, kind of, how are you? How actually is it going? Are you making progress? Are you seeing things differently? Are you creating that awareness that we've been talking about? And we've been talking, as we've gone through these first couple of months, a lot about the whole idea of energy and energy management. We've talked about mindset. We've talked about kind of taking a little bit of control back over your world and prioritizing. And that is something I want to talk about in this brief session today. Because if you're not finding that you've created some nice little new habits that are really serving you well, and you're creating the time and the space to really focus in and really, the phrase is double down on the stuff that's really important, then there's still a lot of work to do. And I know for me, I've still got a lot of work to do in this, and we're seeing, on my side of things, we're seeing some good progress. I mean, I'm noticing a lot more space for creating awareness, and I am really listening. I'm actively listening to lots of different situations, and kind of in lots of times, I'm actually surrendering up to them as well, which is quite interesting because you've got to kind of give away that control. If you're a little bit of a control freak like me, that can be a challenge. But when you do it, interesting things start to happen. And next month, I'm going to share kind of a little bit more about that, because that is a really interesting concept, vulnerability in this whole process of awareness and abundance. But as we go through today, what I've got a little challenge for you, and I've been sort of setting a few little challenges, a few little ideas and things to play with. Today, because we're kind of fast approaching day 60 in this year, I want you to start to really focus, if you choose to take this invitation, on creating a little bit more space and time. I know a lot of people I'm talking to, and I would say the vast majority of people I'm talking to right now are saying, oh, I'm so busy. Remember, we talked about busy right at the start of the year, so we're going to try and get that out of our lives so that we can actually do some quality stuff rather than just chasing everything. A lot of people are still telling me, and there's a significant majority, they haven't got time for it, they haven't got the space for it, and they're kind of battling, I think, with kind of being able to devote some quality time to this stuff. If we want awareness, we want to create a bit more self-awareness, we want to get abundance in all the good stuff that we're seeking and on a journey for. One of the key things here, and I think it's a lovely review point, at the end of each month, and particularly as you come to the end of the season, we're coming to the end of the winter, and that is a big, big change. So what we're going to say, I think, is to try and create a little bit more space and time, maybe by just having one thing to remember, okay? Now, wouldn't that be nice? You don't have to think, oh, I've got to race off to do this task. I've got to see this person. I've got to make that phone call. I've got to send that email. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. But actually just having one thing to remember, one thing to check. And we all have access to this. We've all got the potential of having calendars. We've all got mobile phones, and we can use the reminder feature in there. But it's not just about making lots of lists. Okay, one of the key things that we need to be doing is prioritizing those lists. So as we get a new thing to come in our hectic day, I'm not going to use that B word. It's not a day, it's a maybe full day. Let's call it that. So how do you create more space and time? So if you use something like a reminders list, for example, if you've got an iPhone, I know a lot of people have got iPhones. I check all the statistics of who's watching and where you're watching from and how you're watching. I'm a marketer, of course I do that. And I know a lot of you have got iPhones. And so if you have access to the reminders feature, one of the really neat little things that you can do is just remember, I've just got to check my reminders to see what's going on. So you can obviously, as we all know, it's a very simple thing to do, but so few people do this kind of in good sort of daily practice. put new things, new tasks, new jobs, new activities, and new projects into your reminders. Just throw them in there, literally, and then use the very, very simple little process of must, should, could to filter them. Okay, so things that you must do. Now, we're not going to put a time scale on these, but these are the higher priority ones. Things that you must do, all right? You can give them maybe some kind of little flag or something like that, or a little letter at the beginning of the task just to show that they're a must, and maybe an M for must. You can put the things that you probably should do if you had unlimited time, if there was a bit of space, things that you should do. Remember that word should, and we must remember that we're doing these things because they're going to serve us and those around us, not doing them because we feel obliged or for somebody else's agenda. This is very much about taking control of what is right and what's going to give value to everyone, including yourself. So be very selective about what you put in the should category. Maybe mark that with an S or a different coloured flag. And then everything else goes into the could. In other words, if you had unlimited time, if suddenly something opened up and you got a week free to do all the coulds, those would be the coulds. So you could do them, but actually they're not going to give you anywhere near as much value as the shoulds, and definitely not the musts. The musts must happen. Okay, so once you kind of got that list, so you know what the musts are now, what you can then do is you can prioritize all the musts with now, soon, later. And you can decide based on your own calendar and your own timescales how long now is. I mean, now generally is going to be, we need to do that now, like today. Really, this moment is now, okay? Soon, you can decide, is soon in this week? Is it this month? You can decide. Okay, so that's important. And later means it's still a must, so it must happen, but later is not as time-bound and time-pressured as the other two categories, the now and the soon. So you've got a choice here. And what you'll find is if you put into something like reminders, or you can do this in your calendar, or if you've got some kind of scheduling system, or even just a written, and the way I said that, even just a written kind of diary or something like that, you can decide to reallocate all the things that you have to freeing up this time. And of course, by doing that, what you've created really is one space, one thing to have to remember. So you don't have to remember all the tasks. You know, people often say, how do you do or seemingly do so much? You seem to be flying off here, there and everywhere, doing a whole range of different things. How do you remember what to do? And I have to say, and I have to admit, my memory is shot. It is absolutely hopeless. So what I do is just have to remember one thing, check my reminders. And of course, as new things come in, they get prioritized using must, should, could, and now, soon, later into their relative position versus all the stuff that's already in there. You can't keep putting things into the must now, even though people are shouting for it, other people telling you it's really urgent. You have to be really quite diligent here and say, well, is it really urgent? Is it essential that I do this right now? I probably must do it, maybe. It could be a should, but I probably must do it. But could I put it into the soon category or the later? And then so when I'm doing it, I find I don't have to remember anything. I don't have to actually say, oh, what was those tasks for today? And Sonia often asks me at the beginning of the day, says, well, what have you got coming up today? What's in your day today? And I actually say, until I've checked, I have no idea. And that to me is a lovely way of creating space and time, because as long as I know when I need to start, you know, getting onto that list or doing that particular activity, then I've got space and time. And even if it is 5 or 10 minutes, that could be 5 or 10 minutes that actually adds some real value to my day and allows me to talk and think and process this whole mantra that we're continuing with, the whole mantra for 2022, awareness and abundance. So it gives me that space and time to be aware and to hopefully create a little bit more of momentum towards the whole idea of abundance, of the things that are the best priority for me in my life. So I challenge you to have a little play with that technique today. One place, one thing to remember, and as long as new things come in, you prioritize those based on must, should, could, now, soon, later. So you don't have this massive stuff that you need to deal with. It's just one thing at a time. And you might be able to process that very quickly, and that's great. And you might not have too many things on your list. That's even better. But at least this gives you a little bit of control, a little bit more space, a little bit more time. And tomorrow, 1st of March, I'm going to be talking about what we've got coming up. If you've missed any of the stuff in this last month, it has been brilliant. There's been some really good stuff all around energy management and controlling energy, using energy for mindset, and really kind of getting those baseline, that platform ready for the rest of this year. And so if you haven't done that, I encourage you to go to neilwilkins.online, and you can see all the links there. You can listen to it on your favorite podcast channel. You can watch it on video. It's on YouTube. It's on the website. Go and check that stuff out. It's really, really powerful. I've talked to some really interesting people, and they've shared with me some really great stuff that I'm now experimenting with. And of course, we don't have answers. This is not about finding the answers. This is about the journey. This is about spending quality time with yourself, doing these deep dives to create what it is that we've agreed to work on together here this year, which is creating more self-awareness, awareness of what's going on in and around us. And then from that, prioritizing the abundance, the things that we want more of, and the things that we should have more of in our world going forward. So tomorrow, so there's your little task for today, little invitation to try the must, should, could technique to create space and time. But tomorrow I'm going to tell you what's coming up in March. There's some amazing stuff coming up in March that I want to share with you. More stuff on our journey together. Keep in touch. A lot of you being direct messaging me and sending me emails about how this is going for you. And I really love hearing, because what I can then do is then start to shape some of these ideas, and particularly the conversations that I bring into you, shape them in the direction that you need, because you're saying, hey, I need a little bit more of this, or I need a little bit more of that. So keep in touch. Please do keep contacting me. The more is the better way of doing this. So even if it's just a little kind of throwaway idea from your perspective, please do let me know. Send a message, mail@neilwilkins.online, or direct message me, Neil Wilkins X, anyone on social. And I look forward to hearing from you in terms of how it's going, but also kind of really sort of stuff that you feel now would really serve you well, because it's going to be really interesting to find out what we can do together as we carry on our journey for 2022. So have a great day, play a little bit with that, and I shall see you on day 60 of this year.